The issue is not legislature versus the judiciary. The legislature legislates. What is best for India, the legislature decides. The judiciary unquestionably has the power of judicial review. Either the executive or the judiciary or the legislature cross the line, the judiciary can step in. The second, there is absolutely no debate on the issue, is independence of judiciary a part of the basic structure? Unquestionably it is. Does India need an independent judiciary? It does. Does it need a powerful judiciary? It does. But I think what's more important is, and that's now more important than independence of judiciary, is the credibility of the institution. The credibility of the institution involves independence, it involves scholarship, it involves fairness, and it also involves respecting other institutions. Now let us look at what the Constitution says. When this particular provision of the Constitution was moved, Dr. Ambedkar itself said, must the President, that is the Council of Ministers, alone have the power to appoint judges? He said, no, that's not a fair procedure. Should the Chief Justice have the power? He said, certainly not. Then how should it be exercised? And Dr. Ambedkar says that it should be exercised by the President. He must have a group of advisors, and Chief Justice, of course, is the best advisor in this matter. So both Article 124 and 217, with regard to the High Courts and the Supreme Courts, were framed. The President shall appoint the judge in consultation with the Chief Justice. That's simple English language. First deviation takes place in 1993, while interpreting the binding character of consultation. The Chief Justice shall appoint the judge. He may take the opinion of the President into consideration. It's further clarified in 1998 that the Chief Justice now means a group of judges, the collegium. And what happens in 2015 is the Chief Justice, that is the collegium, shall appoint judges. And what was a participatory function in consultation becomes exclusivity. Any involvement of the executive will vitiate the process. That's the basis on which the Constitution Amendment, the 99th Amendment, is struck down. So the original Constitution says the President shall appoint in consultation with the Chief Justice. The Supreme Court says it's the judges alone who will appoint. There is no principle of interpretation of law or constitution anywhere in the world where a provision can mean the opposite of what it says. And today the 2015 interpretation makes it mean the opposite of what the original Constitution says, the opposite of what Dr. Ambedkar had proposed. Secondly, the rationale where it is based on is, and I've read every word of the judgment, and that's why I compared it to your 9 o'clock show, you indulge in a little bit of politician bashing. These petty politicians will do all kinds of things. They will appoint people whom they want to, and therefore the law minister, being a member of the collegium, is vitiated. The Prime Minister and the leader of opposition, along with the Chief Justice, appointing two eminent citizens means political involvement. That vitiates the whole process. And because politicians are wretched people, we must save the institution and make it a Gymkhana club where members appoint new members. And therefore the involvement of these politicians vitiates the whole process, and it's necessary for independence of judiciary that only judges appoint judges. The rationale is independence of judiciary is a part of the basic structure. Of course it is. But then parliamentary sovereignty is also a part of the basic structure. Primacy of parliament is a part of the basic structure. Separation of powers, the parliament's power to legislate is a part of the basic structure. The council of ministers is a part of the basic structure. The prime ministerial office is a part of the basic structure. The alternate view represented by the leader of opposition is a part of the basic structure. Now, you can't have a unipolar view. You say, well, this is one basic structure, independence of judiciary, and therefore you start diminishing the role of every other basic structure of the Constitution, and then produce a system where this now becomes judicial exclusivity in the matter of appointment of judges. Now, I must tell you, to be independent is important. To be credible is more important. And if you have a non-transparent process, I'm afraid in the long run, you may claim independence. You had a CBI director recently who was very independent but didn't have credibility. And therefore, to have credibility, it's extremely important that you must have the checks and balances of a democracy. And these are the checks and balances which Dr. Ambedkar had suggested. The president shall appoint, but on an expert advice.